Welcome to I Feel Fat Today. I am your host, Kelly Taylor. Thank you so much for joining me. As always, please head on over to our YouTube channel to like and subscribe. Liking the videos and commenting helps get the episode out there to more people, and subscribing also helps. So if you come across it on YouTube, give it a subscribe. Smash that subscribe button. I learned that from watching, I've known that, but I was reminded of people saying that because I watched Depp versus Heard on Netflix today, and all the YouTube people were like, smash that subscribe button, smash that like button. So yeah, do that. Full video episodes over there on YouTube, and head over to Apple Podcasts to give us a 5-star review and review over there, rate and review, because that helps me too. It gets more people to learn about the podcast. You can send me an email at ifeelfattoday@gmail.com. I would love to hear your feedback. If you want any advice, send it over. Maybe I'll read it on the air. And it can be anonymous too if you want. And of course, follow the podcast on social media at I Feel Fat Today. And you can follow me, your lovely host, Kelly Taylor, at Hello, This is Kelly. All right. Awesome. We're going to get into it. Thank you, everyone who watched last week's episode and, wrote kind things or sent me a nice message. I really appreciate it. It wasn't necessary, and it wasn't a complete cry for help. I just, was kind of honest about how I was feeling, and I'm glad I was ultimately, despite having a lot of anxiety after I posted that. But, such is the game of life, right? So that was that. I think it was a good episode regardless of the bad attitude. Oh my goodness. I should tell you this. I actually recorded that episode, right? And it felt therapeutic. It felt good. I was happy to have done that. And then I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to Trader Joe's before I had this thing for a friend afterward. Go to Trader Joe's, and I'm checking out, and the guy ringing me up. And I've sent this to a few people, what happened, because it really upset me. And people have been taking it in different ways, saying I think he just was joking, or, oh, he was a total dick. And the guy was ringing me up. And the Trader Joe employees are notoriously nice, almost too nice sometimes. And the guy put everything into one bag of groceries, or all the groceries into one bag, and was like, oh, it's not too heavy. And I was like, oh, that's great. I can handle it. It's fine. And he goes, yeah, you look like you can handle it. And then hands it to me and goes, probably the only exercise you're going to get all day. And sent me off on my merry way. And there was something about the way that he said it and the look that he had on his face. It's almost like he knew that what he said was disparaging, or he could have just been nice, I guess. I don't know. But it was upsetting. I was really upset. I couldn't even stay at the thing that I had gone to. I felt bad, but I said hi, and then realized that I was not feeling okay after that comment, and left. And I actually went back to the Trader Joe's. And don't ever do this. Don't ever do this. I don't recommend doing this. The guy wasn't dangerous, but it's not safe for you to do. I went back, and I went over to the Trader Joe's employee that was checking me out, or ringing me up, I should say. And I was just like, that wasn't very nice what you said. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't think anything of it. And I was like, okay. And I left, and I got on the subway, and I went home. And so, yeah. And I was thinking I was having a breakdown here after that, because I was just even if he didn't mean it in a mean way, which I do think he did, I took it that way, which is a whole nother thing. It's am I really going to be that sensitive about, people making disparaging comments to me? when they may not even mean it. And then I had the feeling of just like, what did I expect when I went over and told him that it made me feel bad? Like, what was I expecting to get out of that? And I think ultimately I'm glad I did, because if I hadn't, I would have had this thought of like, you're such a, you know, what's wrong with you? You can't go over and stand up for yourself. You have to stand up for yourself. Like, he's just going to get away with it. And it's like, get away with what? Like, what am I don't know. So, that was that. And it just wasn't nice to have had that happen after I had this, like therapeutic episode where I got a lot out. But that happened, and I feel fine now. Okay, guess I'm cool. Guess I'm chill. Okay. What I think that's all I have as far as like life updates go. Yeah. So, last week I mentioned that I was going to maybe talk about Lizzo. And so that's what I'm going to do right now. And then we're going to get into our really great episode with our guest. I wanted to talk about this thing going on with Lizzo because it just feels like culturally like it's a hot topic and something that is in the zeitgeist. So it has to do with my world. So let's talk about it. And yeah. So if you already know, if you know exactly what's happening with Lizzo, sorry, I'm going to go into it by reading this article. But I want to be able to talk about the whole of the accusations in order to discuss it. I don't want to talk about something that I half know about, and it's just easier to explain by reading the article. Okay. So there's so much on the internet about this. What I've pulled is from today.com because I feel like it like very succinctly gives you a rundown of what's happening, who are the key players, and all of that. So this is what I'm going off of. So this is titled, "Why is Lizzo Being Sued? Explaining the Lawsuit by Her Former Dancers." And this came out on August 3rd. Okay, so 3 of Lizzo's former backup dancers have filed a lawsuit against Lizzo, her production company, and dance captain Charlene Quigley, alleging sexual harassment and creating a hostile work environment. In the suit, Ariana Davis, Crystal Williams, and Noel Rodriguez describe various incidents in which Lizzo, who is known for promoting body positivity, allegedly weight-shamed and mistreated her employees, as first reported by NBC News. Lizzo addressed the accusations by her former dancers, calling their allegations false and outrageous. In an August 3rd statement posted on her social accounts, in response, the plaintiff's attorney, Ron Zambrano, pushed back, accusing her of, quote, flagrantly violating the law. Most recently, the lawyer representing the 3 dancers told NBC News on August 8th that they have been reviewing new complaints and allegations from at least 6 people who say they have worked with Lizzo. The news came the same day that the Made in America Music Festival, which had Lizzo and SZA among the headliners, was canceled. Respective representatives for Quigley and the production company Big Girl Big Touring have not responded to the NBC News request for comment. As the story continues to evolve, here's what to know about the lawsuit involving Lizzo and her former dancers. Okay, who is suing Lizzo? Lizzo, 35, whose real name is Melissa Vivian Jefferson, is being sued by 3 of her former backup dancers, Ariana Davis, Crystal Williams, and Noel Rodriguez. Davis and Williams both began working with Lizzo after appearing on her Amazon reality show, Watch Out for the Big Girls, in 2021, and were fired earlier this year, according to the lawsuit. Rodriguez, who began working with Lizzo in 2021 after appearing in the music video for her song Rumors, and resigned in 2023. According to the suit. What is Lizzo accused of? The 3 former dancers have leveled several allegations against Lizzo. Here are the key ones outlined in the lawsuit. Alleged weight shaming. Davis alleges that Lizzo and a choreographer raised questions about her commitment to her job on tour that were thinly veiled concerns about her weight gain, according to the suit. It's very funny to say that they were thinly veiled concerns about her weight gain. Davis said in an interview with Today on August 2nd that while she never experienced blatant fat phobia, she believes she was being called out subtly for her weight. It was very nuanced and very underlying underneath all the other issues that were going on. Davis says, I just had this feeling that they had a problem with the way I was gaining weight and looking different, and it wasn't the same as when they first cast me. Pause. I want to interject here. This is not an original thought, what I'm about to say, especially because I do not come from the dancing world. I don't know anything about it. I asked for dance lessons when I was in middle school, and my parents said no. So this has nothing to do with me. But I did hear this point by someone who very articulately explained their feelings on the whole Lizzo situation by saying that she has someone that has lived in bigger bodies before and is a dancer and has been a part of dance troupes, let's call it, where they were able to exist in a bigger body as a quote unquote fat dancer or choreographer. But if they gained weight, it impeded their ability to perform. And so this person on the internet was saying that, if you, like, Lizzo could come from the perspective of like, oh, I'm sitting here at $3 bills being able to put in the work, but you're over there at 350. Like, are you able to keep up with the choreo that I have going on? So I think it's interesting, and I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong in this situation, but from what I'm gleaning and just, points that I've heard online from both being for and against Lizzo, is saying that you were being weight shamed. Where do we draw the line? Like, are you going to be a fat dancer that can or that ends up being as big as you would naturally be? Or do you have to hold it at a certain line in order to get your job done? Because Lizzo's not saying, or Lizzo's team isn't saying that you can't be fat. They're just saying, I think, that you need to be able to perform. And so if your weight extends beyond your ability to perform, then it's an issue. That's what I'm getting from it. And I think, and here's what happens when, there's like headlines and tweets and all this stuff about a very, like, something like this, where Lizzo is apparently fat shaming, weight shaming people. You kind of think like, oh, she's just sitting around calling everybody fatties, telling them to, get in shape and to stop being fat slobs. Cause that's what I think, or that's what I, pictured in my head, when it could be something more nuanced. So I just wanted to say that. Again, not an original thought, but it was a point that I saw online that I was like, oh, that's a really good point. Okay. Alleged sexual harassment. In the lawsuit, Davis described all alleged incidents with Lizzo earlier this year at an Amsterdam strip club. Davis alleges that Lizzo pressured her to touch the breasts of a nude woman on stage. Davis said no, but she said Lizzo led a group chant to pressure her to do it, demanding a visibly uncomfortable Miss Davis to engage with the performer, according to the suit. Eventually, after being pressured, Davis briefly touched the performer's breast. The lawsuit says, I was very, very mortified. Everyone burst into laughter, Davis told Today in her August 2nd interview. Davis says that after this incident, Lizzo allegedly began pressuring a member of her security staff to go on stage and take it off, according to the lawsuit. Plaintiffs were aghast with how little regard Lizzo showed for the bodily autonomy of her employees and those around her, especially in the presence of many people whom she employed, the lawsuit says. Okay. Interjecting here again. On paper, sounds really bad. Oh, your boss, was making you do something that you were like visibly uncomfortable with. Here's the thing. Lizzo a freak. And yes, as your employer, she shouldn't have been putting you in instances where you would be uncomfortable. I got to tell you, if I personally was Lizzo's backup dancer or part of her team, and Lizzo was taking me out for a freaky night in Amsterdam to see a sex show, I would be probably acting a fool. I probably would be wild, like touching titties and having a grand old time, thinking I have like a very sick boss. You know, like it's cool and fun. And it kind of feels like, you know, Lizzo, for all intents and purposes, is a rock star. You know, maybe not a rock star, but like she's a pop star, a performer, a legend, and, you know, some may say. And so, you know, she's out there doing rock star shit, which is going to a sex show and being like, come on, everybody, let's have fun. That's what I'm picturing. Again, I know I'm sounding like I am a Lizzo apologist, but I'm just saying. And again, I've gleaned a lot of this from the internet. It just feels like you're kind of crying about like a holiday party that got a little crazy. But I guess if they were uncomfortable, they have the right to feel that way. I'm just saying, no more free pizza in the break room. That's what this is going to turn into. It's going to turn into no more pizza in the break room because Shelby burnt her mouth on the molten cheese, and, you know, now you couldn't handle the pizza, and now nobody gets pizza. You couldn't handle the sex show in Amsterdam. Now nobody gets sex shows in Amsterdam's over here at Lizzo Incorporated. Okay, back into it. Allegedly creating a hostile work environment. The lawsuit alleges that on April 20th, 2023, Lizzo falsely accused her dancers of drinking before performances, demanded they re-audition for their spots, and said she didn't approve of a dancer's performance. That person and said if she didn't approve of a dancer's performance, that person would be fired. The result is an excruciating 12-hour rehearsal, according to the lawsuit. Davis says in the suit, she was so scared she would be fired. She left the rehearsal to use the bathroom. Davis said in the suit, she was so scared she would be fired if she left the rehearsal to use the bathroom that she soiled herself. Williams says she confronted Lizzo in a meeting saying it wasn't true that the dancers were drinking before shows. Well, if you're not, then good for y'all, Lizzo allegedly replied. On April 26th, Lizzo's tour manager fired Williams, citing budget cuts, the suit says. The suit also describes an alleged meeting with dancers on April 27th, in which Lizzo repeatedly referenced Williams' termination, allegedly telling her team that she had, quote, eyes and ears everywhere. Davis recorded this meeting because she suffers from an eye condition that can make her disoriented in stressful situations, according to the suit. Days later, Lizzo allegedly held an emergency meeting when she discovered that the previous April 27th meeting had been recorded. The suit says she, quote, became furious, hurling expletives at the group, and stated that she was going to go around the room person by person until someone told Lizzo who made the recording, according to the lawsuit. The suit says Davis confirmed that she had recorded the meeting, allegedly told Lizzo she hadn't meant any harm, and had deleted the video. Lizzo allegedly responded, "There is nothing you can say to me to make me believe you." Davis was fired that day, and the third dancer involved in the lawsuit, Noel Rodriguez, resigned, according to the lawsuit. Lizzo allegedly responded to Rodriguez's resignation by, quote, cracking her knuckles, balling her fists, and shouting at the dancer, the suit says. Okay. Dissecting this a little bit. So they're alleging that Lizzo was accusing her dancers of drinking before performances and demanded they re-audition for their spots. Okay, maybe that happened. It's a little weird that your boss would be alleging or like saying that you're drinking before performances, especially if there's like a no drinking policy. If there is a no drinking policy, obviously, you know, she wouldn't want that to happen. It seems like her accusing people of drinking before the performances is seemingly unprompted, according to what I'm reading here. And so that sounds like a kind of like crazy boss thing. I've had plenty of crazy bosses, and no one's accused me of drinking before or at work, but I definitely have had a boss or two say something weird about like my performance at the job, and they were acting a little bit erratically, but it had nothing to do with me, even if it was pointed at me. I mean, I've never had to reapply to get rehired or anything like that. Like, this is alleging like them having to like, re-audition. Sounds like to me, Lizzo lost her temper. She was being crazy to her team and dancers, and, something was going on, and she falsely, allegedly accused these people of drinking before performances and forcing them to re-audition. It's not unheard of to have your dancers re-audition for their spots, I don't think. I mean, I've heard stories about like J-Lo having, people audition for her and her say like, raise your hand if you're a Scorpio, and people like excitedly raise their hand, and then her be like, okay, you can take your things and go now, thank you. So it's like, yeah, creative people do crazy things. Creative people are not meant to be bosses, but you're also the head and face of the organization. Did I say crazy? I meant to say creative. Sorry, it's been a long day. Okay. So there was that, which isn't great. I don't know, but doesn't sound good. And then the one dancer saying she soiled herself. You have to everybody has a price, and it could be my dream job. And if you are willing to put yourself in a position where you would rather piss yourself than say, I understand we got this going on, I'm literally going to piss myself, I got to go do that. Like go to the bathroom. It doesn't sound like a great situation that Lizzo didn't leave room for bio breaks. But also be an adult. Like I guess I don't understand because I'm not in that situation. I don't know what it's like to have my dream job, especially because it's not like there are a plethora of opportunities for especially plus size dancers. So there is a lot riding on this for people. I'm not saying it's this dancer's fault that they soiled themselves, but is it Lizzo's fault because you did that? Like, why didn't you go to the bathroom? Did she explicitly say you can't, or were you too scared? Which, again, I've had a lot of bad bosses, and they've scared me, sure, but not enough for me to not use the bathroom. It's like, can we be adults, please? Like, you're scared to use the bathroom? Go use the bathroom. All right. So, yeah. So, going into that. Oh, and then the video. Sounds like she was able to... It sounds like Lizzo was mad that a meeting had been... What she thought was a closed-door meeting had been recorded. And I understand that, and again, this varies state by state if you can record people legally without their knowledge. And it seems like there is some sort of medical thing here as to why the meeting was being recorded. I know at my job, when I step into a meeting, it is announced multiple times that the meeting is going to be recorded. So, don't say or do anything that you don't want, saved for forever because we're recording it. So, okay. And then it ends with the dancers getting fired, and Lizzo apparently cracking her knuckles and balling her fists to the one dancer resigning. Not a great response on Lizzo's part. Okay, how has Lizzo responded to the allegations? Lizzo denied the accusations raised in the lawsuit in a statement posted on her socials on August 3rd. My work ethic, morals, and respectfulness have been questioned. My character has been criticized, she wrote. Usually I choose not to respond to false allegations, but these are as unbelievable as they sound and too outrageous to not be addressed. These These sensationalized stories are coming from former employees who have already publicly admitted that they were told their behavior on tour was inappropriate and unprofessional. She also said in her statement that she, quote, would absolutely never criticize or terminate an employee because of their weight. Lizzo's attorney, Marty Singer, said in a statement to NBC News that the lawsuit is, quote, suspicious and without merit. Specious. All right, whatever. He cited a video from April 2023 recorded for season 2 of Lizzo's reality show Watch Out for the Big Girls, in which Davis spoke positively of Lizzo, calling her a queen and saying she looked up to her. Okay, well, that's lame for Marty to, I mean, I get it. That's her defense attorney, but like, yeah, if I want a job, I'm going to call my boss or hopefully boss a queen too. Like I'm going to praise them. So that's a moot point, but whatever. These do not sound like the words of someone who was harassed or discriminated against by someone that they then described as the queen. Singer said in his statement, "We are confident that Lizzo will be completely vindicated in this matter." In response to Singer's comments about the video, Davis said in one statement that she wanted to save her job. "This video was done before the bulk of our allegations occurred, and this was just me grasping at straws and my last attempt to make her see how committed I was to being loyal to her and her camp." Yeah, that makes sense. Meanwhile, Zambrino, the attorney representing the 3 dancers, issued his own statement in response to Lizzo's August 3rd Instagram post, saying Lizzo had, quote, failed her own brand and has let down her fans. The dismissive comments and utter lack of empathy are quite telling about her character and only serve to minimize the trauma she has caused the plaintiff and other employees who have now come forward sharing their negative experiences, he said. While Lizzo notes it was never her intention to make anyone feel uncomfortable, this is exactly what she did, to the point of demoralizing her dancers and flagrantly violating the law. What is dance captain Shirlene Quigley accused of? In addition to Lizzo, dance captain Shirlene Quigley and Lizzo's production company, Big Girl Touring, are also named as defendants in the lawsuit. Not every claim in the lawsuit is being brought against every defendant, and some claims are made by individual plaintiffs. The lawsuit's accusations of religious discrimination are being brought against the production company and Quigley, who served as a judge on Watch Out for the Big Girls. According to the suit, Quigley, quote, was not only vocal about her religious belief, but took every opportunity to proselytize to any and all in her presence, regardless of proselytizations. The suit also alleges that when Quigley discovered Davis was a virgin, it became, quote, a topic of extreme importance to Quigley. According to the lawsuit, Davis never gave Quigley permission to share this private detail about her life. Quigley also alleged simulated sexual acts and shared graphic details of her sexual fantasies with the other dancers, making the plaintiffs uncomfortable, according to the lawsuit. I rolled my eyes a moment ago because this is just religious people be acting religious and fucking weird. Go figure. I don't know this, Shirlene Quigley lady, but it sounds like her faith is very important to her and she put that on everybody. I don't know if that is an offense that you can sue one for. It's not like she's, making you get on your hands and knees and pray. Maybe she is. I'm picturing from what I just gleaned from this is, she's the dance captain, so maybe they start and end practices with prayer. Or it says here that she took every opportunity to proselytize to any and all in her presence, regardless of what they believe. That's just what people who are really into God do, and it's annoying. I know. I went to Catholic school for many, many years, and it's annoying to, have people talk about shit that you may not even believe in. But I don't think that's something that you can sue someone for in terms of what, Quigley making a big deal about Davis being a virgin. Another weird religious thing, because people that are, believe in God for some reason are obsessed with virginity, and think that your defunct sexual ability and experiences or lack of experiences is something to be held of high value. And so that sucks. And I guess, yeah, you can, be litigious there, but I'm getting the vibe that these people are grasping at straws here to try to, they had an unsavory work condition. I don't think that, they were traumatized. Like, it's like when someone's kind of like speaking with force or like speaking maybe at like a higher octave, and someone that like has never had to deal with yelling is like, stop yelling. And it's like, I will show you yelling. Okay, moving on. What is the production company accused of? The lawsuit includes allegations of false imprisonment against Big Girl Big Touring for allegedly forcing Davis to stay in a room after she was fired so her phone could be searched for the recording of the April 27th meeting. Okay, that you can't kidnap people. I knew it was going to be the production company here, being the one truly at fault. You can't do that. You have to have a workflow for when someone is terminated, and you can't steal their phone, especially if you didn't provide them with said phone. The lawsuit also alleges that performers of color on the dance crew experienced racial discrimination. Sure. Members of the management team allegedly described Williams, Davis, and other black team members as, quote, lazy, unprofessional, snarky, and generally having big attitudes, according to the lawsuit, which said none of the same allegations were leveled against dancers who are not black. The lawsuit's racial harassment complaint is brought by Davis and Williams against Big Big Touring, but not against Lizzo herself. That's interesting. I wonder who of the production, it seems like this production company is just sort of like a nameless, faceless organization that they are suing in terms of what they are alleging. I have nothing to say about any racial discrimination that they may have received. It's not something, my privileges is that I don't deal with that. And so I'm just going to take your word for it. And I'm sorry that happened. Okay, moving on. Lawyers of the three dancers are reviewing more complaints. Zambrano told NBC News on August 8th that his firm is looking into new allegations from at least 6 people who said they toured with Lizzo or worked on her, quote, or who worked on her Lizzo's Watch Out for the Big Girls. Per Zambrano, the allegations are for a, quote, sexually charged environment and failure to pay employees. Okay, they threw that in at the end. Failure to pay employees. That's like a big deal. I'd say slut it up. I don't care if there's dildos all over the walls. I don't care. Pay me. However, he said after reviewing the complaints, some are potentially actionable, but others are not. Okay, so I feel like that was a really good rundown of like what Lizzo is facing, what her company is facing, and what people are saying. I think this came out on August 3rd. It's now August 20 something, and so I think at this point more people have come forward, but I couldn't find anything online about it, and it seems like from everything that we discussed, it kind of went in order of like okay to, oh, that actually is bad. So it kind of feels like the things that are maybe not actionable and, something that can be litigious sort of are put on the forefront to be the headline to, the whole like banana out of the pussy thing. So that they actually didn't even talk about that in this, but I'm sure everybody has heard, like, at this sex show in Amsterdam, the one where the one dancer didn't want to touch the breasts of the performer, somebody had been prompted and encouraged by Lizzo and everyone there to, quote, I'm not quoting anything, but to eat a banana out of a sex worker performer's vagina, which I don't know if you've ever been to the Box in New York City and London, and the Box I think is all over. It's like a crazy show where like it starts out with just like cool lights and sort of like weird music, and then it, you know, devolves into like, you know, someone putting a light bulb up their ass and having it like explode. I've never been to the box. I would like to go because it sounds crazy, but it sounds like they went to a show that is like the box. So again, sorry you have a fun boss. Like literally sue me. The points at the end of the article about, you know, racial discrimination and not paying people, that's non-negotiable. That is never okay. That'll never be okay. And if that happened, then yeah, then these, you know, people deserve some money, because that's all this is. They just want money, which is great. But I think it's kind of lame that they're saying like, oh, I was in an uncomfortable environment, you know. Lizzo was, it seems like it's like from this article, from what I've gleaned, it seemed like there was sort of like you either got the fun boss that was taking you out to sex shows, or she was, you know, scaring you and making you re-audition and, you know, was kind of acting crazy. And that's the thing of having a creative boss. Like, not saying it's right and not saying that, you know, things shouldn't change. But at the same time, it's sort of just like, what are we really complaining about when it's not like, you know, the more serious things like of racial discrimination? Like, it's not Lizzo's fault that you didn't go to the bathroom or that you went to the bathroom on yourself. I mean, then again, I wasn't there. Maybe there was security blocking the doors. I don't know. It sounds like they're grasping at straws. And I personally, I'm saying this, I'm going to say this. I'm going to say this, but note that I don't think that Lizzo is like 100% the best person. I'm not saying she's never done a wrong thing, because I have seen things online from people that have since come out and said like, she stole my boyfriend, she stole my music video idea, she stole my song idea. Like, things have come out about Lizzo that are not looking great for her. But in terms of this specific situation, I'm kind of rooting for her to come out stronger and better. And maybe she puts herself, or she finds herself in a position to be like, you're not going to hold me down. Like, you said these things about me that I'm saying are not true. And, I'm going to be better for it. I don't know. I mean, I hope the truth prevails, obviously, but I don't know. That's what I would say about that. I don't know. Okay. Anyways. This week's guest is fantastic. Oh, she was so great. We had a lovely conversation. I forgot to say, I'm going to try to be better at not forgetting to say this, but trigger warning. We talk about eating disorders. We get a little bit into it. And so if you're somebody that can't listen to that kind of conversation, just, you know, proceed with caution or don't proceed at all. But we had a really great conversation about weight loss surgery and just existing in various forms of bodies and not knowing how we feel about it or what category to put ourselves in. And it was a really, I feel like, an enlightening conversation. It was a really just great conversation. And she's really funny. She's really smart. I definitely check her out on social media to see a lot of her writing and just her stand-up. Yeah. Okay. So please give a warm welcome to Chloe Fimiano. Okay, this is the best Babastis and Finnegan have ever like chilled next to each other.
Oh my gosh, I'm honored.
Yeah, seriously. Babastis usually sits right here, but he has this desire to be near you.
I honestly feel like a very strong connection with him already. Like, I feel like we really get each other.
And Finn is just like completely has claimed you as his own.
I may have known Babastis right?
Yeah, Babassus.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that from something?
Okay, so Joe named him.
Okay.
And I think it was like the first or the like god that the ancient Egyptians
Oh.
prayed to.
Okay.
I should know the origin of his name better, but I didn't name him. So
Well, I think we've known each other in a past life.
Yeah.
To be
you
honest.
just over there in Egypt, you were definitely praising him at one point.
100%.
Well, they're chill. So if there is an explosion later, it's just gonna be him hissing and Finn crying because he's a little bitch. But we're good. We're doing it. Okay. So where are you from?
I am from Easton, Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Do you know it?
I
Where are you
know
from?
it. I'm from New Jersey.
Oh, what part?
Sayreville. It's like central.
Okay.
I know that because my dad used to collect antique trucks and like wheel horse tractors.
Oh.
So I used to have to go out to these like tractor shows with him out in Pennsylvania. Like that was my
okay.
summer. So, and it was like in the Allentown
Yeah.
area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew up basically in New Jersey, so Easton is as east as you can get.
Yeah.
So like along the
It's like
Delaware.
right there, yeah.
So
So you would know more like West Jersey
yeah.
towns.
And then I also lived in Philly for 9 years.
Oh,
so
wow, okay.
I was in South Jersey a lot too.
Did you go to college in Philly?
I went to Temple.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I didn't apply to many schools, but I did apply to Temple.
Okay, where did you
Yeah.
go?
Montclair in
Okay,
North Jersey.
nice.
Yeah, there you go. So, okay, so you grew up in Easton, Pennsylvania. And how
Mhm.
old are you?
I'm 29.
29.
I'm struggling with
You
it.
look really young.
Oh, thank you.
Like if I were to guess, I would have guessed that you're like 24.
Okay, I'll take it. I don't know why, but like I've never been someone obsessed with age, but then I turned 29 and I turned 29, my birthday is June 1st, and I like have been in a funk about my age.
Really?
And like grappling with aging.
I don't think aging would be, I mean, I don't know, maybe it would be, but I feel like aging is on our minds because of just like this business.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
For
Like
sure.
my friends and I talk about all the time, like, why did I choose something where I have to like watch myself on video or listen to my voice or see photos of myself because
Yeah.
it's literal hell.
And also like we are around so many like 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds just
Yeah.
like moving, and I don't know what I was doing in my early 20s, but it wasn't like I was just so scared.
I wasn't doing man on the street interviews.
Yeah, no, like I had like
I
no
can't do that now.
I had like I don't know, it was just like a mess.
Yeah.
And, like I don't know.
So did you start comedy in Philly?
No, I started last year.
Oh, good for you.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're so funny for being so new.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
I wanted to, I worked at comedy clubs and I was like obsessed with comedy and would go see comedy all the time, but was just very chicken and
Yeah.
like didn't think it was something I could do.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
So did you have any siblings or do you have any
I
siblings?
have 2 older sisters.
Oh, okay. You're the
Mhm.
baby.
I'm the baby of 3 girls.
Okay. What are like the age differences?
My oldest sister Eden is 7 years older than me, and then my middle sister Rena is 2 years older than me.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's kind of easier, I think, on the youngest when like you're closer to the middle child.
Yeah, we are besties. Rena and I are besties. Eden and I are like the 2 most opposite people on the
Okay.
planet. But I love her.
Yeah. She's more like the Chloe, what are you doing kind of person.
I mean, she thinks I'm definitely going to hell for sure.
Really?
But in like a loving way. I'm like, oh, that's sweet.
Are
Like,
they in Pennsylvania?
Yeah, everybody is in Pennsylvania. And they all live like right next to each other.
Okay.
Yeah. So then I'm out. I'm like the black sheep.
Okay.
But they love me.
Yeah.
But it's just like,
You're the
"What-
baby."
What are you doing?
Yeah, no, totally. I have a younger brother who's 6 years younger than me, and my older brother and I are only 2 years apart. So it's like we have this sort of like mom and dad relationship with our younger
Mm.
brother, and he's like, I'm not that much younger than you. I'm like, when we're always in our 30s, you're always in your 20s.
Yeah,
that's how I'm always going to see. When I'm at 40, you're going to be 30. So like you'll always be like my pseudo son sort of, you know, and I'm sure your older sister like sees you that way too.
Yeah, I mean, she does have 3 children, so I think she's also just like...
She's just a mom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's just like, okay,
yeah.
do your thing.
Okay, so I always like to ask when there's like a sibling dynamic, because this is something that like I was obsessed with and dealt with. What were like the body types of your family?
Yeah. So oldest sister Eden was like perfect.
Okay.
She... thin, big boobs, like never had a weight issue.
Yeah, class president.
Truly, like overachiever.
First daughters, man.
Yeah, involved in everything. Ever like Miss Congeniality, that vibe.
Yeah.
Popular, you know. And then Rena is like we have more similar body types. Curvy, like I have a curvy-ish family.
What's your like background?
We're Italian.
Oh, okay.
But Rena is like just loves herself. Like it's just really
yeah.
Can I swear?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, it's really weird. She like does not deal with. She has like little like things where she will feel like, oh, I'm not feeling too great, but like she does not run on self-hatred like I do, and it's just like mind-boggling to
God's
me.
favorites.
Yeah, I mean, I love it for her.
Yeah, no, that's great.
And I feel bad because she has to deal with all of my like
because I feel like
my issues.
I feel like speaking for myself, like I'm the kind of person where if I am coming across as like confident and that like I really like myself, it's like people can smell how I'm faking it. You know?
Okay.
Where it's like it sounds like your middle sister just has it. She just doesn't need to fake it.
Yeah, and it's just she's also just like Rena's like the most, I don't know, I really think she's just like touched by God or something.
Yeah.
Like she's just like truly like the kindest person. She's so selfless. She's so generous.
It's like, oh, she's a good person on top of it.
Yeah, and
Damn.
just like also is like, yeah, like she just has like a really like unique spirit.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
She sounds lovely.
She
okay.
is great.
Cool. All right. So it wasn't like you had a thing of like being like the odd man out of being like the bigger sister.
I was definitely like the one that the doctor was like,
okay.
I was the fatty.
The fatty
I
of the
was
group.
truly a fat kid.
Okay.
Like not like when people will be like, I was chubby growing up, I'm like, ugh. I get like protective. I'm like, okay, I was like tortured.
Right.
Like I was like truly, it's like
kids
hard
are
for me.
Cruel.
It's so bad. Like I was just watching like a home video of me when I was younger, and it still felt painful.
Yeah.
To look at it.
Yeah.
But I have so many jokes, so it's good.
Yeah. I mean, there's got to be something, right? Okay. So being that you were like a fat kid, when was the concept of dieting like first introduced to you?
Dieting? I mean, elementary school.
Yeah.
For sure.
Was that like by your own fruition? Like, was that something where you were like, I want to eat less? Or was it like your parents being like, we're going to have more vegetables at dinner or whatever?
Yeah. So the first time I got called fat was 4th grade. Roberto Morales.
Never forget.
I'll never forget him. And he called me fat, and I was like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
It was like the first time it registered to me that I'm like, this is really bad, Chloe.
Yeah.
And then I think around that time is when like I remember like my pediatrician gave some sort of worksheet to my mom of like, okay, we need to get her walking or like you know, changing my food or whatever. And it's also so wild to me because it's like, I'm a kid. I'm just doing what you're telling me to do.
I know. A literal fucking child.
So, and around that time. And then like, you know, like my grandmother was like always on Weight Watchers. So I was like, well, maybe I'll do this.
Yeah.
And like,
you
know.
Was your grandma like a present person in your life?
Yeah. But she's the best. She didn't do anything like harmful. I grew up in my grandmother's backyard. Right. So
close Italian family.
Yeah, very much so.
Got it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just hit your dog's face.
It's okay. He asked for it.
So as much as like we would like diet together, we'd also like eat ricotta cheese out of bowls together. And she'd like give me whatever I want.
You would be bad together.
Like we were besties together.
Yeah, totally.
You know?
Yeah.
But I remember I found recently a letter that I wrote her from camp, and in this letter, I was in elementary school or maybe middle school, and I'm like, oh, I've like have not changed at all because like in the letter I'm shit talking campers. I'm like, there's girls in my bunk who won't shut up. And then I was also like, the lasagna here sucks. Like felt like she needed to know that. And then I was like, but I might lose weight because I'm running around a lot. And I'm like, check. I haven't changed a single bit.
Yeah, that's so funny. I know. It's like, I don't think I've ever not thought of movement as like a means to lose weight.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've never gone on a brisk walk, which is like my favorite thing to do is take the dog on a walk. And I've never once like not considered the amount of calories that may have burned or like how this is helping me try to lose weight, which is insane.
No, same. Anything, even just like moving to New York, I was like, well, I'll probably lose so much weight because I'm going to just be walking everywhere.
Yeah.
Like everything somehow equates to like
dropping
how it will alter me.
Yeah, alter the way that I look.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it was like 4th grade. You were that little shithead had to say, what he just called you fat or what happened?
He called me. I got into it with him for some reason, and he was like, well, you're fat. And I was like, it was just like the world stopped.
Yeah.
I was like, dun dun. Like,
yeah.
Oh, that's the worst thing you could call me.
It's like, I think now the kids on the internet call it canon events, where it's just like a thing where it's like, it's a canon event. You can't interrupt it. Like this has to happen.
Oh, okay.
And it sounds like that was that.
That was it. I would say it was like my origin story.
Yeah.
It's like my
absolutely.
Villain.
Your Joker. Yeah. Joker story.
But I was like pretty severely bullied from like then until like 8th grade until I just like got anorexic.
Okay. I feel like I wasn't bullied. I feel like, and I don't feel like I went out of my way to bully people, but I definitely didn't stop bullying because I didn't want it to. I also went to a really small Catholic school, so like there wasn't that many kids to pick on. But yeah, I always wonder, I'm like, was I mean? I hope I wasn't mean.
I truly can't remember a lot. There's like a few events of my childhood I remember, and I feel like I have like 5 memories.
CPSD, baby.
But I'm also like not currently in therapy, so like I should be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't even think I was like the fattest kid in the school. I was up there.
Right.
But I think I was just like an easy target. And I was also like
yeah,
pretty weird. Like I probably didn't make it easier. Like I stuck out. Like I'd wear weird clothes and like and I just like kind of did my own thing. But also I happened to be fat. So it's like, that's our girl.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the school's fat kid.
Yeah, absolutely.
She's getting it.
I remember in 4th grade, that was also, and I had already been called fat a bunch at home because my older brother was really skinny.
Okay.
And we, were horrible to each other. We would fight constantly. And so he was already calling me fat, and so it was something I was always aware of. And I remember I was on the school bus, and I can't remember his last name, but I remember being on the school bus, and Jamal looks me in my face and goes, "Damn, Kelly, you have fat ass legs." Because my thighs were like, I've always had big thighs, even as a kid, and like they were like smushed against the seat, and like I guess the bus was like making my legs jiggle. Yeah. And he's like, "Damn, Kelly, you have fat ass legs." And I remember like I still have that feeling of like, this person just broke me.
Yeah.
Like I feel broken now.
I had a joke, same school bus, all these girls who were like so skinny, could shop at Limited too. They were all going around saying what they weighed, and I weighed significantly more than the numbers they were giving out. And I remember I just lied. I was like, I think they all weighed like 80 pounds. And I was like, I weigh 30 pounds. Something that was just like, something that was like so obviously.
Yeah, like, do you not know how to count?
Yeah, like it just like that just made me look more dumb.
Yeah. She's fat and she's dumb.
She's fat and dumb. This girl is not it. But just like moments like that where it's like, I don't know, just so traumatizing.
Yeah. Oh, horrible. I don't. Every time I have these conversations, I have so many new stories that pop up in my head. Like you were mentioning numbers. I totally had a scale thing where like there's these girls and we were all like jumping on the scale and weighing ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And I think even as like a kid, I was probably like in 5th grade, say, when this was happening, I like had feelings of being nervous, but still sort of being like, no, try to like, talk to these new girls, even though, we're at this random family, like adult party, where there's kids, and in doing that, I remember being like, okay, I'll get on the scale, and then being like, that's like so much.
Yeah.
That's like way more than all of us.
Yeah.
And just being like, I don't have the concept of killing myself right now, but I want to.
Right.
Hell. Absolute hell. Okay, so you mentioned before when we were talking before this that you have a history of eating disorders.
Mm-hmm.
So do you care to disclose like what was going on?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've really danced with all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, food was definitely an addiction young.
Yeah.
And I was like pretty, I don't want to say unsupervised, but like my parents just worked all the time and like, so I would just I got sneaky with food young.
Yeah.
And like overeating and definitely used it as a substance young. And then the summer between 7th the summer between 8th and 9th grade, by the end of 8th grade, I was getting bullied so much that I was just like, I can't live like this anymore. So I just stopped eating and just got super anorexic. I dropped a ton of weight that summer and it got pretty bad quickly, but like again, like my parents were just like always working, so like nobody clocked it until like I was in pretty deep.
Right.
So high school I was like anorexic pretty much throughout. And then by like my senior year, it was like pretty unsustainable the way I was living. I just like wasn't consuming calories, like living on Diet Coke, popcorn, sugar-free lemonade. But then once I got to college, that morphed into that's when I started having more substance abuse issues.
Right.
And sorry, I'm thinking. It's college. I started getting really depressed. The anorexia wasn't sustainable anymore, and I started drinking a lot because I didn't have access to alcohol in high school. But in college, it just went cuckoo bananas.
It's like, this is what we're supposed to do, right?
Yeah. And I like I'm
out in our business casual wear. Like,
oh my god, it was just
so embarrassing.
Bandage.
Did you go into college in 2015? Oh no, I'm sorry, 2011.
2012.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Cool. I went to college in 2010, and we're about the same age.
Okay. Yeah. So then I started gaining a lot of weight in college. 'Cause I just like the pendulum just swung the whole other way.
It's such a change that like you don't realize that this change is about to happen, where I'm going to be from like going in my parents' house where things are set a certain way. Now, even if you were an unsupervised kid, now you're going out into college where it's like, oh, I am now operating in this like weird little ecosystem of kids that are like, we're all just sort of for the first time ever having to figure it out in a weird way.
I mean, I was always like pretty independent and like kind of a loner.
Yeah.
So I felt more normal for the first time when I went to college, even though it wasn't good. I like did feel like a big weight off my shoulders because I just like I didn't fit in high school. I was just kind of like a weirdo. And like I always like all my friends were like 20-year-olds that I worked with because I just would like have a job.
Yeah.
But then do you want me to just like do a quick elevator pitch about my eating disorder?
Do it. Let's hear it.
Okay. So then in high school or college, I was like having a really hard time with like alcohol and depression, like just so much unresolved trauma. And so dropped out of where I first went and then moved home, and then I went to rehab for an eating disorder because my parents were like, this is the only thing we can really clearly see what's wrong with you.
Wow.
So we'll send you here. And I picked up bulimia there.
You went to college for eating disorders.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. In rehab.
Yeah, that I was like, I didn't know. I was like, oh, I could just eat and throw it up. Like, cool new trick. And I feel bad because my mom felt like a lot of guilt for like sending me there, which was not the intent. Some people
I hate that I keep interrupting you.
You're fine.
But when you said like my parents sent me to rehab for eating disorders, I thought, wow, that's so nice that they were like, that they saw that you had this thing and weren't just like, figure it the fuck out. There was something wrong with you. Like they knew you needed help and like got it for you.
Yeah. I mean, I should have had it. I should have went in high school when it was like really. Yeah. I was like really in deep with it.
Yeah. But again, your parents worked.
Also, yeah, my parents like they don't come from emotionally healthy people.
Yeah,
so like they're just trying their best too.
No, East Coast old people like they can't help themselves.
Like East Coast Italian people.
Yeah,
like,
it's crazy.
There's no concept of like.
Yeah. It's like, just eat. What are you talking about?
Yeah, what are you talking about? Don't eat. Like, even today, like, when my dad will be like, you can do anything you put your mind to. Remember that summer you lost all that weight? I'm like, I was.
Yeah, thanks,
like,
Dad.
Yeah, I was like, ill.
Yeah.
So I was like bulimic. And then graduated eventually. This is like a really janky timeline. But then I like struggled with. I gained a lot of weight and then I lost a lot of weight again through bulimia.
Yep.
And started exercising again. Then early 20s was just like dealing with bulimia a lot. And then in the past few years gained a lot of weight again because it was just again trauma and all that stuff. And then last year I got weight loss surgery.
Okay, only last year.
I got it not even a year ago, but in November.
Wow. Yeah. Okay. That
is again, I'm like a deeply unhealthy person. Like I still am not in therapy or like anything.
Yeah, totally.
I feel like I should have like warned you. I'm like, I'm not like a emotionally well person.
I don't expect to. I mean, first off, I've only ever interviewed comedians for the podcast, so I've never once considered that I'm sitting down with like a mentally healed, sane person. So don't worry about that.
Because even like all of like, I feel guilty sometimes that like I've lived in so many different bodies. Like I've been very thin. I mean as thin, like I'm a pretty curvy person, so like even at my thinnest I still just look kind
it's still
like
someone's nightmare body, which makes me want to kill myself.
So I've been 80 pounds heavier. I've been 40 pounds thinner, you know. So like I've lived in so many different bodies, but like even like I never really know what camp I exist in.
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
So when people bring up like body positivity or like anything, I'm like, I'm just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even like know the verbiage or like the politics of it all. I'm just like someone trying to survive and like like myself.
Yeah. And it's especially because I was doing a lot of thinking about this just last week, and how something I realized that I didn't know I was struggling with was or is the concept of body dysmorphia, you know,
Mhm.
going to therapy, having a therapist tell me that, you know, you're dysmorphic about your body. Can you not hump? You're literally in shot of the camera. Finnegan.
Oh my god, wait, I wasn't even aware of the camera. That's funny.
God.
Horny.
Horny boy. And he like doesn't even have balls, so I don't even know.
Oh my
He
god.
just wants
just
attention.
a natural zest
Just
for
a
life.
natural that's his riz. Okay, no. So, you know, being told I'm dysmorphic about my body and being able to look back and being like, yeah, I was totally dysmorphic. But now looking at my body now and being like, I'm not dysmorphic. I have the body now that I thought I had when I was super skinny.
Yeah.
And that I completely relate to what you're saying of like, I've lived in so many bodies. I've gone through so many methodologies to look certain ways. It's been an emotional roller coaster this entire time. So I don't know what camp I'm in.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm always going to be a fat girl.
Right.
That's just in my DNA.
Yeah.
But then I feel like guilt for like maybe I didn't like love myself enough when I was bigger. Like I did want to change because like I didn't feel beautiful. Not that I feel beautiful now. Like
right.
And it's just hard to know. And even like writing jokes now, like I want to talk about like my lived experience in all these different bodies, but like I also am so hyper aware of like I never want to make someone feel uncomfortable or like feel shame about being in a larger body than me now. Like
yeah,
but I want to talk about all the bad stuff for when I was in a larger body.
Right. Yeah.
But not that it's bad, but like I was
personally
I have trauma from it that I want to talk about.
Yeah.
So it's like all very
I think
confusing.
I know it's confusing and it's complicated, especially because I think, and we'll get into it a little bit, but I think something that the body positive movement has really missed is the inherent value in thinness and how societally we are just at a place where we've been for many decades where thin is in, thin is better. You are perceived as, you know, being smarter, wealthier, more talented when you are in a thin body.
Oh yeah.
It's just what it is. So us looking in the mirror and going through these complicated emotions of like, why do I hate this body that I'm looking at? Why do I feel bad in a bigger body? Why do I want to be in a smaller body? All of that, like there's the concept of societally having less value.
Yeah.
In a bigger body.
Yeah.
It's not just the face value of, oh, we hate ourselves. We hate the way that we look. So I totally relate to you when you say like, you know, you want to talk about this kind of this stuff on stage, but you don't want anybody in the crowd that may be existing in a bigger body feeling bad about themselves.
Yeah. And I also like, I truly don't I don't think it's bad to be in a larger. I have so much internalized fat phobia and misogyny
same
that I would never extend to another human.
Yeah.
It's totally like a inner self hate that like it's not acceptable for me to be that way.
Yeah.
But for anyone else, I'm not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But
I couldn't care less.
Yeah, couldn't care less. I mean, you're always looking. I'm always looking at everyone's body. I'm always comparing myself. It's a very like narcissistic thing that I'm doing, but only because I've only ever been like since I was a child I've had to be aware of like my body.
Yeah.
So I can't. I mean, any reflection, I'm clocking it. I mean, it's a nightmare.
I know. I hear completely. Like, and it all is stemmed in like things that we call trauma, but at the time just seem like very small events. Like what my therapist would call trauma from my childhood, I am just, you know, recalling memories of me sitting at the mall with my grandma and her being like, you know, like, am I as big as that person? You know, like body checking these strangers. Body checking is a term that we now have to describe what that is, you know, and just being like, you know, because she had her own shit, you know, to be like, you know, like was I ever that big or am I as big as that? You know,
she would be asking you.
She would be asking me. Yeah.
As
and
a child.
She was so fucking skinny, by the way. But she was a fat teenager. And she lost like 100 pounds and was like never going back. And so like that was like her, she's, you know, in her 80s now and still deals with like anorexia and body stuff.
Yeah.
This shit follows you. It's insidious. It like is generational. So again, love my grandma. She's my girl.
Yeah.
But you know.
But also like like my grandma, even like my mom, like when she was like checking me into the rehab for my eating disorder, was like, you know, yeah, I guess there was a time in my life where like I just kind of ate like cabbage soup all the time. You know, it's like I'm not coming from women who are like allowed to like process any of this or have the terminology or like even like I feel like now like Gen Z people know way more than I do. Or like I didn't like we grew up with like literally I remember being in the library and like all these girls like their jeans, it was like such a thing for your hip bones to be popping out. Yeah. Like as an accessory. Yeah. And I was like, well, I physically can't. Yeah. It's not going to happen. And that's like an accessory.
Yep. Because I like look back to the way I dressed like in middle school. And I'm like, why was I dressed like a 40-year-old librarian?
Wait, like H&M business section. Did you shop there?
I used to shop there.
Okay.
Yeah.
But like in high school.
Oh, in high school, yeah.
Yeah, like
I need a going out outfit. In college, oh my God, those bandage tight skirts.
In high school, I would like shop at H&M. Like I just looked like I don't know, like a Euro banker or something.
Yeah, I don't know. I just wanted to cover up as much as possible, but also like look trendy, which like you can't because like when we were growing up, when we were in middle school, high school, like Jumbo Jessica, Jessica Simpson being a size 10 was like all we saw, which was
I just looked at that image again.
I know, isn't it like, sickening?
Yeah. She looks great.
Yeah, that's she looked like I would kill to look like her in like, that outfit.
That's insane. I know. Or the other like scary thing is Kate Winslet. When you like read all the like coverage of like which I was maybe too young for because I don't know. I forget when Titanic came out, but I was a kid.
Yeah, it was like 99 or something.
Yeah, so we were kids. But like the like
I remember the discourse.
Gorgeous person ever, and they're like, what a cow.
Yeah, what a cow. Like insanity. Can't believe Leo had to kiss her.
I know.
It's like, oh my God, it's crazy. And I don't know why it was like that, but it just was what was popular.
Yeah, and that's something that I struggle with is like as a person who is getting older and like I feel like well, I don't know because I'm not Gen Z, but it just seems like they're all like love yourself and I'm I didn't get the chance.
Yeah, no one wanted us to.
That wasn't an option.
Yeah. That was never on the table.
Yeah.
That was never even up for discussion. And I remember, like, for my own body stuff, like, going to friends, like, especially in college, being like, do I look fat in this? Do I look fat? And like, shut up, Kelly, you don't look fat. You don't look fat. And then I get older, and then all of a sudden, the you don't look fat started fading. It's like, you look fine. You look fine. And it's like, oh, because I got fat. Like, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy where, like, I got to a body that I hated. And then had to figure out, well, how am I going to fix this now?
Yeah.
I don't know. Horrible. Okay, so this brought you all of this. Eventually, you decided to get weight loss surgery, and I didn't realize it was so recent.
Yeah.
So which surgery did you get?
I got VSG, vertical sleeve gastrectomy.
Okay.
And I got it in Tijuana, which people always think is a joke, but I really did.
Damn. Were you not insured?
I have not had insurance ever.
Even now with a job?
Yeah, well, yeah. I don't have insurance. I've made so many terrible choices in life.
Dude, we'll talk off camera, but I literally had a job that I, like, put so much of my soul into that didn't take my taxes out of my paycheck and didn't give me insurance.
Oh
like, why did I allow myself to get abused?
No, but also, this is, like, a whole other conversation, but, no, the first job that I took in New York, I was like an assistant for these rich gays. I say it like in that cadence because it's part of a joke. But no, they just were like these really rich people who like I was their assistant, and they were like, "Yeah, we're gonna get you insurance." That was like part of the agreement. Yeah. So I was like, finally, I'm like making a salary and I'm going to get insurance. And then they just never got it for me because rich people don't care about
they don't think about it. No,
themselves.
they don't. They literally don't think about it.
Yeah. So that was like my own naivete. But then I left that job and I just still, I mean, and I got kicked off my dad's insurance early because he retired.
So rude.
So
rude.
Yeah.
Okay, I hear that. All right. So you went to Tijuana. How was the experience?
The experience was honestly great. I did a lot of research.
Mm-hmm.
And there's risk anywhere, but this was like the best option for me.
Yeah.
Sorry. Actually, this is like a little effect of it. I like get gurgly.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry, you can edit that out. But I had a very good experience, and also my sister and my mom were incredibly supportive. My mom was way more apprehensive.
Yeah, my mom would be.
Yeah, she was really not like
championing this.
She was not. She couldn't sleep until I like got out of surgery, and I totally understand that.
Absolutely,
because if my child wanted to do it, I'd be like, "What's your problem?" I would just be like, wreck. But they actually came to because I flew to San Diego, and then it's like they get you and you go to Tijuana and all that. But they came with me to San Diego and were incredibly supportive. I feel like I lost my train of thought.
Okay. Well, it sounds like obviously you're here, so everything's fine.
Yeah, so far so good. I mean, there are it's a calculated risk.
Yeah.
That's really how I look at it.
I'm not going to say who, but I have someone very close to me who, when I was in college, went under and got bariatric surgery. And I didn't find out till after the fact, that she almost bled out on the operating table.
Oh, my God.
And this is in fucking,
the States.
The States. This was getting done. And what happened was they, opened her up and something was enlarged, like maybe her spleen, and they accidentally nicked it.
Yeah.
And in accidentally nicking it, she
probably her liver.
Maybe. I don't know.
So where I went, the doctor lives in San Diego, and they're all board certified in the States, and they have a ton of accreditations that some places in the States don't even have. And I also did a very extreme pre-op diet in order to shrink my liver, so that doesn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
But it's still like everything is anytime you go under,
anytime
it's a risk.
It's absolutely, and so it doesn't, and there's like medical tourism in Mexico, like that's like a thing. So people,
and then people from Europe go to Turkey.
Yeah. Oh my God, I've been telling every guy that I see with like receding hairline, I'm like, go to Turkey and get that hair transplant. I see on TikTok. Do it now before it gets too expensive. If my hair was fucked up. I know someone who did that. You know someone that did that? I'm so happy for them.
I don't know if I should say this. One of the servers at a comedy club that I work at went, and it's so funny to like bond with men over vanity sometimes, because it's like
so secretive.
Yes,
about it.
It's so like we're like, it's like hush hush.
Yeah.
And as soon as like he heard about my surgery through my jokes, and then he was telling me about it. Then he felt vulnerable enough to share with me about his hair, and I was like, oh, like I won't do this, but like I think about going to Turkey for a nose job.
Oh, really?
I won't do it.
You don't need one.
Oh, thank you.
And even if you did need one, actually, if you needed one, I probably would have been like, oh yeah. I wouldn't have said you didn't need one.
Oh, that's kind. But it was just funny because then I'm like researching. It's like, he's like, it's only $2,000.
Yeah, I know.
Basically, I'm like,
and they like put you up in like a nice spot.
I know.
It's like a nice vacation.
And then I'm like, well, now it's like a tattoo. I'm like gonna become like one of those cat ladies.
Just stick to the tattoos, please. No, totally. It's so funny talking to guys about like vanity stuff, because they like they don't talk about it with their bros.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Okay, so what was the post-op like from the weight loss surgery?
Post-op was pretty it was pretty okay. I mean, I think I was back to like doing mics like 2 weeks
Nice.
like as soon as I got back to New York.
Wow.
I mean, I was like I was sore and like it really is like it seems really hard in the moment, but then you get over it.
Yeah. Time passes.
Time does its thing.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and I really got it as I didn't think it was ever going to happen. And then I don't know, it just came together and I did it. And I really got it because I just wanted to go full. I just felt like I couldn't live. And I felt like I wouldn't be able to like go at comedy the way I wanted to. I also like was incredibly closed off. Like I wasn't dating at all. Yep. And I just like wasn't living my life. Like I was really kind of living in hiding because I gained a lot of weight. I went through like a breakup and a death and a lot, and I put on a lot of weight and I was drinking a lot. And I just got to a point where I was like, I'm not living. Yeah. And like I just want to I've been dealing with like so much pain surrounding my appearance like my whole life that I just like want to give like I'm not getting any younger and I just want to like start living because I'm not. And I like I really was, I don't know how to put it any other way than like I was just like really in hiding and it got really painful.
You were becoming a shut-in.
Yeah, I was. Yeah. Like I was going to mics and nothing else.
Coming off the heels of COVID too. Yeah. Like I think we all need to collectively agree that was a traumatic event. You know?
And I don't
just COVID in general.
I don't even think of COVID is so I was like in a relationship for 5 years and it ended during COVID and then my grandmother died. It was like we broke up and then like 2 weeks later my grandmother died and then everything just kind of like started tacking on to that. Yeah. And it was just like it was a decision I made for myself where I was like, and it was maybe the first big decision I ever really made for myself where I was like, I know myself enough to know that this is right for me. Yeah. And I'm going to do it because like I deserve to not be in so much pain anymore. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
But I do feel guilt over like not having loved myself first.
Totally. Yeah. And because I think the thing with weight loss surgery is that from what I've just seen online and people that I've known, because I've known multiple people to get this, and it's something I've thought about, it doesn't fix the hatred that you may have for yourself. Like it definitely doesn't fix that, but it forces you into a corner when it comes to the food stuff, especially if binging is something that you struggle with. Yeah. Because you just physically can't.
You can't.
So in getting the weight loss surgery, you know, physically you were able to recover in like about a 2 weeks time, you know. Yeah.
But I'd say like there's different stages with food. Like physically the pain you heal in like maybe a month out I was like finally like not so tender. Like I was good. And then I think it's maybe 2 months out that like you can get back to eating normally.
Yeah, because so immediately following the surgery, it's like all pretty much like liquid, like Ensures basically.
Yeah, it's liquid, broth, stuff like that. Mm-hmm.
Got it.
Yeah,
and were you like morning food during that time, or were you just like fine with the situation?
I have. Oh my god, this is where you're gonna have to edit. Like I don't speak well.
You're fine. You're
I
fine.
Don't speak well.
Let it flow. You're fine.
I've always had such a complicated relationship with food that like to me food is such the enemy. Like I wish I could get to a place where I enjoy food and I'm like, oh, I want to eat here. Like when I see like skinny girls like do their pan of the table and I'm like, I could never post that. Like it just removed all the thought and like I don't know, it just removed the need to think about it. Now I just
like this doesn't pertain to me anymore. Yeah, this is not something I have to even think about.
Yeah, I just like I get my protein and I keep it moving. And I'm already like so busy and on the go that I don't have to think about it now. It took away a lot of like the stress.
Right. Okay. Okay. And then how was the reintegrating food back into your life like?
All good. And I also like don't cook.
Right.
I truly thrive on like Trader Joe's
Absolutely.
like go-tos. So it's all been like pretty easy. Like it really honestly fits with my lifestyle, and it
Yeah.
also fits with like a comedian's lifestyle.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
I mean, if you're like someone who really like enjoys food, and like it's like I know like my Rena, like my sister, she loves food, she loves trying new things. Like she doesn't need the surgery, but like I think it would take from her life, because it would take a source of joy. And for me, it was additive. Like it improved the way I was living. But I wouldn't go this route if you're someone who like gets a lot of joy from food.
Right. Okay. Because I know for my friends personally, and I think a lot of people relate to this, where like food is like the gathering, food is the event, is the activity. So you don't really operate that way.
No, and I think also like growing up, I like every Sunday we ate lunch at my grandmother's, and like that would like kind of a source of trauma, because then when I was like anorexic, everyone was like, it was all eyes on me and like what I was taking on my plate. But then also when I was like big too, like as a big
all
kid,
eyes on you,
all eyes on me as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't like eating in front of people.
Right.
I don't like eating on dates. I don't whatever.
Yeah. Oh my
I don't
God.
go on dates,
Nothing curbs my appetite like a cute guy sitting next to me.
Oh.
I could be starved. And if like, and this, I'm in a happy relationship, and this happens to me constantly, where I'll be out at a mic and I think like, oh, maybe I'll get something from the bar. And then like a cute guy sits next to me and I'm like, guess I'm not. Guess that's not happening anymore.
See, that's so crazy. I just look at you and I'm like, you're so gorgeous. Like I just
oh my
feel
God,
like
you're crazy. Thank you.
Because I have a lot of like, I don't know. I look at you and I'm like, well, if I looked like her, like I would be good. Like
I look at you and I'm like, if I look like her,
no,
Christ.
So also, you and your boyfriend are really cute together.
Oh, thank you. We just had 2 years on Saturday.
Congratulations.
It's both of our longest relationships.
That's exciting.
Yeah. And that was weird, getting into a relationship, because I only dated very casually before him, and had a lot of unrequited love on my end. So it was like I would be super into a guy, and he was not, which is like so understandable. I was trauma dumping a lot on these poor men. And so with Joe, it was like all of a sudden I wasn't thinking about like not eating around him. And like, it was the first time I was like, I felt I could like fall into being myself, and it not have like almost like a hangxiety of like being myself the next day.
Yeah.
And
oh, that's so nice.
Yeah. And so that was weird, because I've only ever hated myself. And so to like, and it always got worse when I would like try to date somebody. And so that was like a weird thing. But I was living alone before he moved in, and I'm like, wow, I'm unconsciously putting empty cartons of food at the bottom of the trash can. And I am like, thinking about like what I can quickly grab to eat before I get home, or I'm going to have food with him. Like a lot of stuff started coming out that I was not expecting.
Okay. That's actually
going into a relationship.
That's a huge thing for me. 'Cause like I would like to start dating. It's very scary to me, but food, like eventually you're going to have to eat with someone.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
And that is a big block for me, 'cause I'm like, well, when do I let them know all my weird food shit?
Yeah.
And even the thought of living with someone again is very scary, because I mean, like, I don't know, I like to like eat cold cuts in bed, or just like that's like
you'll just find someone that's cool with it. Like Joe was like, I literally do not understand. They're all comics, so no.
Oh, I've never slept with them. TBH.
But literally, like,
I don't.
Like,
I would date a comic though.
no, it's fun.
Yeah,
It's so
I think
it's
it's
like
fun.
it's because you know what the real perk of it is, like he's going like on the road somewhere this weekend, and I'm like, yes, the house to myself, motherfucker.
That and also the like they get the lifestyle.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I don't know why people are like, I don't want to date a
I
comic.
know. I guess because like
if you handle it well, I feel like it can end and be okay. I mean, but also like, I don't know.
No, I know, totally. But what I was gonna say,
sorry,
no, you're fine. I literally, Joe was like, I never met someone that likes eating in bed as much as you. Like, it's my favorite thing.
Yeah,
it is my favorite thing. I just eating cold cuts in bed, like
with like Real Housewives on or something.
Oh my
that's
God!
Like
do you want to come over? That's like perfect.
That's all I want to do.
Oh gosh, dude, you've nailed it. Like, we would be great together. That's all we would do. It's just
I'm on board.
To watch Roni.
I'm on board.
Oh my gosh, that's. But no, I hear you. Like, it's like all of a sudden,
I'm
like
rewatching Roni right now.
Oh, are you rewatching?
So fucking comforting.
It's I just finished. I went through all 10 seasons of Vanderpump because I gave it a rewatch.
Okay, I'm not a VPR person.
It's okay.
I just
if you're ever gonna get into it, it's so good.
I know. I don't know why I can't get into it. I have a block with them.
Really?
Where I'm like, I don't know. I don't know why. I think also because like I have a like I don't know. They just annoy me.
So at first, when we like got into it like naturally, it annoyed me.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like kind of watch peripherally, and then right before Scandival, this big, Scandival.
I know. I tracked Scandival. Yeah.
Right before that, I was like, Joe had gotten Peacock, and I was like, oh, it's all on here.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna give it a rewatch. And then Scandival happened. I'm like, I'm definitely giving it a rewatch. And watching back now, I promise you, it's some of the best television. Like,
I'll give it another try.
If you get through your Roni rewatch and you're like, I want something long that I can throw into, I suggest it. So I literally was just about to start my NJ rewatch.
Okay, I can't watch New Jersey.
It's anxiety driven.
It's just too close to home.
It's a lot. I know. The town I'm from, Sayreville, one of the housewives that's on NJ lives in Sayreville.
Oh, which one?
I forget her name.
Oh,
I have to rewatch.
They're all the same. I mean, like,
I know they literally are all the same. If it's not Teresa or Melissa, what's even happening?
There's something about like Italians screaming at each other that I'm like,
no, it is very jarring. It's completely jarring. I totally get that. But I have New York on my rewatch list.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
I love Roni.
It's so good. Have you been watching the new season?
Yes.
Have you?
Do you like it?
I like
have you
it.
been watching? It's kind of nice. This is turning into a Bravo podcast.
It's fine.
But I like that. It's not all like so many of the franchises have been kind of bogged down by like actual crime. And like actual darkness, and like it's kind of nice to return to like they're just being silly girls in the city.
I know the one thing that annoys me is the intros or someone being like, this is like a real look at New York City, and it's like, none of you have ever once been an essential worker, so shut up. That is not a real look at New York City, but it is fabulous. I used to work in fashion, and Erin Litchi, she was a client of a company I used to work for. So I used to work directly with her. She wouldn't be able to pick me up out of a lineup. But it's like cool because I'm like, oh, like I, used to work with Erin. So that's cool. And being in fashion when I first moved to New York, I'm like, oh, well, Jenna Lyons is like amazing. Yeah. So I really enjoy Roni for what it is now, which is just okay, we're these socialite women, and we argue about which restaurant is trendy and cool to get dinner at, which is so fun. Like, that's what I need. That's what I need to put my focus in.
Light. I watch it on Mondays on Peacock.
Yes,
shout out Peacock.
Hell yeah.
Like,
perfect Monday night. Okay, yeah. So we kind of got away from everything.
I'm sorry.
But I want to quickly actually. Are you completely caught up aside from Sunday's episode?
I haven't watched the most recent one.
Okay. So something interesting that happened on that episode was Jessel they went to the Hamptons and Jenna got everybody that lingerie.
Oh, yeah.
So Jessel puts on her lingerie and she's wearing this like green, like one piece nightie basically, and is running around saying she hates it. You know, it's large, it juts out, it looks weird. And the women are like, she's being so rude. She's being so rude. And I'm like, I know that this is reality television, but I was sitting here screaming at the TV being like, can we, like, it's just obvious that she hates herself and she hates her body. She doesn't hate the gift. Like, can we please relax?
That was like such a flagrant, because I know I've said extremely harmful things to others.
Horrible.
When what I'm trying to say is that I hate myself.
Yes.
And I am very guilty of when I was like times that I was very thin in my 20s. I mean, whatever. Being like, I'm so fat to people in larger bodies than me. And but it's this thing where like I'm so deeply uncomfortable with the way I look that I need you to know. And this comes from being bullied a lot, where it's like, I need you to know I hate myself to get ahead of you telling me you hate me.
Yeah.
And
I need you to know that I'm not okay with this.
Yeah, and I didn't have the I just wasn't healed enough to know that was also harmful.
Damaging to others.
Because now, like, I mean, and this has always happened, but I'm just more in tune to it when, like, my friends who are much thinner than me and have never been heavy are, like, complaining about their bodies. And I'm like, oh, well, I know that you are not meaning this to be hurtful.
Right.
But
that's the other side of, you know, when we talk about, like, being harmful to others, like, that's the other side of it, because I'm 5'8" and a half, but 5'8", and all of my friends are like 5'4", 5'3", like everyone's just short, and so I always just felt bigger in general. And when my girlfriends, like, I'm always thinking about college when I say this, but when my girlfriends would be like saying how they're fat, I would say to them, like, well, if you're saying that about yourself, what do you think about me?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's harmful also. Like, why am I putting that on, you know, my girlfriends? Like, they're entitled to feel bad about themselves.
Yeah.
I feel horrible about
I never
myself.
understood that either, especially my oldest sister, who never struggled with her body until maybe after she had kids. I don't know. We don't talk that deeply. But there was never any room for her to have a struggle with her body, because I'm like, no, that's my thing in the family. You're not allowed to feel that way. Like,
yeah, absolutely.
Which is also, you know, any woman in this country has an issue with her body.
And if you're a woman that doesn't have an issue with your body, women also hate that.
Yeah.
There's no winning.
Yeah. There really is no winning.
Yeah. And when I say women, I mean my internalized misogyny and all that shit. Trying to, like, not be like that. But okay, so going back to the weight loss surgery, it seems like it fits your lifestyle really well. Is there anything that you regret about it, or anything that you wish you knew going in that only showed up after the fact?
I really don't have any regrets. I knew just on like a shallow level, like, I knew that I didn't know how my skin would be after, because, like, loose skin is a thing that can happen. But again, it's just like another calculated risk, and also it's like, it's fine in a way. I'm actually really surprised with myself, because, like, my arms are like, you know, I have like looser skin on my arms that, like, I look at, and I don't know if it's just me maturing or what, but I'm just like, okay, like, what can I do? Like, what, you weren't happy when they were bigger. Yeah. Like, I'm kind of at a point where I'm like, when are you going to let yourself be okay?
Give yourself a break.
Like, I'm a little bit reaching, not a breaking point, but more of a surrendering point.
Right.
Where I'm like,
Because it gets tiring.
I've kind of exhausted myself
Right.
with self-hate.
Mhm.
All of my like reaching into my bag of like, what will I hate today?
Yeah.
I'm slowly just kind of like surrendering to them, and I'm getting off topic. Nothing I regret. I did go on a date once and throw up because I just ate a food that didn't agree with me.
Oh, really?
And I was
Oh,
like,
yeah.
I gotta go. Like, I just like went to the bathroom and threw up, and then was like, I feel like the date's over.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. That
but I
kind of
just,
puts a
like,
cap in it.
Yeah, that's like kind of a weird thing. Like, I don't know when to, unless I'm like, I haven't really dated any comics, but most comics will know about it via my jokes.
Right.
But like some regular Joe Schmo, I'm like, when do I tell you I did this thing?
Does it even need to be disclosed?
I mean, eventually, I feel like if I'm like really dating someone, I'd
Right,
be like, it'll come up.
Yeah.
But because you know what? Because I can't eat a lot, and if it's like, let's go here, and then I only
I cannot go to all you can eat sushi. Like I just can't.
Because I like was on a date with this guy, and I was like, I'm only eating like a little bit of my food,
Right.
and he's like, was like, I just didn't like the guy. He was like already annoying me outside.
Yeah.
Of, like this, but he was like, oh, finish your food, and I was just like, oh, I can't.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. That's not really a regret. Nothing like deep I regret.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for someone that's like considering it?
Do a ton of research, especially if you're going to go out of the States. Do a ton of research. Take all of the health, like the pre-op stuff, very seriously. I quit smoking to do it. I, don't drink, all of that. Like, I don't know, just do a ton of research and make the decision that's right for you.
Yeah.
Because, and trust yourself too. This was like, it was the first time I really like felt like I really was building trust with myself to like make a good decision for myself.
Right. Like you're not doing something that's putting you in harm's way.
Yeah. And it is a huge lifestyle adjustment. And if you don't feel like you can mentally cope with it, then you can always get it, but you can't go back.
Right.
And it really worked for me for the way I live.
Was there any sort of mental health evaluation that went into this?
No.
I feel like it's because you had it done out of the States.
Yeah.
And I think the mental health evaluation is only for insurance purposes.
Yeah.
So.
All of like the stuff that gets done in the States, that's like the checking of the boxes.
It's all paperwork.
It's all just like stuff so people don't get sued.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm a Facebook group person. If I'm going to an event, I'm joining a Facebook group about it. So did you join like bariatric groups?
So the facility I went to, they have a Facebook support group. So I got involved there. And then the people that were in like my round of surgery, like we all got surgery on the same day together. We keep in contact.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
that's
we'll
awesome.
like check in and send progress pictures and stuff and hear how, like, I mean, it's not like so deep, but it is, it was very nice to like have other people, be along for the ride and like really get what you're going through.
And if I ask you something that you're like, that's weird, don't,
Oh no, I'm an open book.
Were you one of the younger people in that group?
I was,
because I always think it's like an older lady thing.
Yeah, I was definitely the youngest. They all had kids.
Right.
All living in the suburbs.
Yeah.
And I was like pretty exciting to them. Like a young city slicker.
And so I don't really even care how much weight that you've lost.
Yeah.
But is it marginally different? Like, have you lost a lot of weight from November to present
I can
day?
show you a picture.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
If you want. I don't know. I've lost like 80-ish pounds. Like
okay.
My weight fluctuates. And I also have been like recently getting sober again.
Oh,
So
okay.
that has like, I definitely stalled for a few months because I was, you know, eating stuff and substance stuff all kind of go hand in hand. But this is like the most recent
absolutely
progress pick.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were there women that you were doing this with that were like, honey, you don't need this?
Oh yeah. I mean, most people were like, you know, it's like the easy way out, or just, or you're beautiful, or whatever.
People
like,
would say it's the easy way out.
Yeah. And I have a friend who like really wants to get the surgery but just won't because she thinks it's like cheating.
There's like she's putting a moral value.
Yeah. And I'm like,
it's
well,
like not an ethical thing.
Yeah. I just got to a point where I was like, I've like lost significant amounts of weight multiple times in my life. I don't want to do it anymore. Like,
You're done. I want to get off the roller coaster.
Yeah. I want to get off of this like crazy cycle I'm in. It's only been additive to my life.
Wow.
Yeah. And it really helped me. I'm like kind of struggling. I have some ED stuff creeping up because I'm like getting sober again and I like control. So I'm like, ooh, let's see how many diet beverages I can drink today.
Right.
So I need to like be vigilant of that. But in all like the binging, throwing up, all that stuff, I'm like, I kind of feel like I like got released from a lot of that cycle.
Because it is even for as exhausting as like that cycle is, it is so hard to get away from it and get off of it.
It's so addicting. Like, it's especially like bulimia is like it's like heroin. It's like harder than alcohol. And I really got to a point where I was like, I'm never going to be able to give this up. It feels so good. Like in this really, it just hits whatever in my psyche. Like it just fills a lot and it's satisfying and
that's so lost on people because people have a fear of it even where it's like to have someone say that it's something that actually feels good. Like I remember this insane sense of accomplishment and like how I like worked through it in a way when I would get done with like a purging session, and how it just was almost elating.
Oh yeah, I mean it was like euphoric after. And I was thinking about this today because I knew I was coming here. Because it's also like pretty disgusting also, but like you're not registering it as a disgusting thing.
That's why I can even talk about it and not even have a feeling of disgust.
I mean like, I don't think it's disgusting for other people.
Yeah, I can see why. I understand.
Yeah. And I remember I was thinking about this today. It was kind of a memory that resurfaced of like, as my ex and I were breaking up, we got into some fight and he was just like, yeah, and you don't think I see all your throw up in the toilet? Like, and it was like the meanest thing that was like could so say. Mean.
Yeah, it's like, do you even love me?
Yeah. And I that was like the first time it registered because a man was telling me something I was doing was disgusting.
Yeah.
When in some crazy way I'm like, I'm doing this for you, so I'm beautiful for you.
Right.
And that was like maybe the first time I was like, oh, I guess people think this is disgusting.
Right.
But it never dawned on me that it was like a gross thing.
Yeah. It's crazy. And you think you're being so sneaky too. Like I thought like I was cleaning everything.
I would bring like supplies with me. Like, I always had like I don't know if this is like a trigger warning, but like I'd always have like a toothbrush with me. You know, wipes, whatever to manage it.
Yeah. Well, now my teeth are falling out of my head and I need like 2 root canals because of like my history with that. Yeah. Because then also developed a fear of me going to the dentist because like they were the one doctor that could find me out.
Yeah.
They would know. So that's why. And then, of course, I went through stints of not having dental insurance.
Yeah.
So then when I finally did get insurance, I was like, I'm going to come up with another excuse in my brain as to why I, can't go to the dentist.
Yeah.
And I actually just went to the dentist last week, and they were very nice, and they like had nice bedside manner.
Oh, good.
Which was, I think, I went in so scared, and now I know like what I got to like, go and get fixed and everything.
Yeah.
And it's, even with insurance, it's still super expensive, but I'm like, you know what? I like am done treating myself like I'm some sort of like disposable thing. It's like I deserve to have a comfortable mouth,
Yeah.
But all of that was from my teenage years of just, and into my 20s.
Yeah.
Of just purging. And I'm thinking I was like, because I was, attacking my mouth with the toothbrush after every single time. It's like, no, that's acidic on your teeth. Like it's, you just don't think about the long-term effects of that. But yeah, I think that only people that have had an eating disorder to that level, like I always tried to be anorexic, and I just,
it's not sustainable.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
And I always felt like a failure for that when I was like in high school. I always felt like, wow, like I have to eat. Like that was like food was far too much of a drug for me to give that up.
Well, you also need food.
yeah. And you also like need it. Like you absolutely, that's why it's like alcohol and, drugs, there are very real addictions that like people need to beat. But I think that people, when you talk about food being an addiction, people are sort of like, oh, well, I guess anything can be an addiction now. And it's like, literally anything can be an addiction.
Yeah.
Like everything in moderation, including moderation.
Yeah. I mean, food is just like, I think it's the hardest because you still need it. It's like, no one's like, oh, you need a little bit of cocaine every day.
Right.
No, you don't need that.
No.
But you do need food.
Especially because it's like, so, you look at somebody that is sober from alcohol and they, have 10 years under their belt, and then they have like one slip where they, have a glass of wine at dinner or whatever the case may be. They drink and then they've lost the 10 years and they're starting over. With eating and binging and purging, it's like you could be clean, quote unquote, from a binge or a purge or a tandem of both of them, and then talk yourself out of what you just did was a binge, or what you just did, like, oh, I threw up because I had a stomach ache. It's like, did you have a stomach ache, or did you like go into it?
Yeah,
you're able to talk yourself out of it.
I have had some moments post surgery where I felt uncomfortable because maybe I ate too quickly.
Yeah. Which is common with that surgery.
Yeah. But there were a few times that I did act on old habits. Yeah. To make myself feel more comfortable.
It's like, sorry, I'm a professional at this.
Yeah. I was like, don't worry, I got this, guys. But yeah, so that was a little tricky. So maybe that's something I would have thought about more.
Right.
But comparing, it's gotten significantly better.
Yeah. And like you've also lived a whole life of that being present. And so, yeah, you could consider it like in it being a byproduct of the surgery. But like we've said, it's not sustainable. Yeah. So. Okay. Now, I wanted to ask, have you noticed a change, or you definitely have, what were the ways that you've noticed people treating you differently now that you're in a smaller body?
Well, the world is just truly so much, I think the world is so much kinder to you when you are in a smaller body.
Absolutely.
My breaking point of when I was like, I'm getting this surgery is I was like walking in Chelsea and this caravan of teenagers just yelled at me that I was fat as they were driving by, and I just like broke down. I was like, that's when I was like, I can't. And I was like coming from a mic to go back home in hiding. And I was like, I
Yeah.
can't live like this anymore. And that's when I started seriously making the steps to get it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a caveat, that's like a word I never use, but I am trying to seem smart on this podcast. I'm so guarded with people because I was bullied, and I do have like a lot of anger I need to work through, and a lot of like my own stuff that I project onto others as a like defense.
Yeah.
So I think maybe people are nicer, but maybe I'm feeling more like worthy of love too. So I think those two things go hand in hand, because I haven't worked through the belief that like being beautiful means you can accept love, and also like what is beauty, all that stuff.
You know, going back to what you said about those, caravan of teenagers ruining your day, being in a bigger body and you're doing something where like you don't want to be perceived, or like you exist where you don't want to be perceived, you want to go into hiding, and yet you were leaving an open mic where you had to get on stage to undoubtedly a group of like 20-year-old teenagers. Yeah. Let's be fucking real, And, it's really, even if you fancy yourself a performer, when you're uncomfortable with your body, especially existing in a bigger body, getting on stage and telling jokes, like, fucking kill yourself, dude. Like, that is so hard. And so you're leaving that wanting to just go back into a hole, basically, into the, privacy of your own home, and having, the teenagers just be so mean to you because kids are cruel and they don't have a concept of that. And I think a lot of kids are in a lot of pain because they don't know how to handle the crazy dynamics of their life and their household, whatever is going on with them. So they do mean shit like that. Yeah. Also, having a person that had been bullied, all of that culminates into just what feels like a breaking point. So really just good on you for advocating for yourself to get this thing done that is paying dividends. Yeah. I mean,
I heard a quote, I forget who said it, but it was something like, people don't lose weight. People lose weight so that they can like be a part of society. Yeah. Something. I'm butchering it. But I just wanted to like, to be able to just not be seen first for being big, because really the biggest driving factor was like, I just want to be doing comedy. Yeah. And this feels like it's getting in the way because of the confidence I have in myself, and also just this like other thing of just like, I struggle with like my physical appearance on stage, of like how I'm being perceived.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how you look now. You're always going to be thinking
even like, I don't want to be too sexy, or like, then I'm like,
that's a female comic thing.
That's a whole other thing. Yeah. But
yeah. So what are your thoughts on people going to the measures of taking things like Ozempic? Do you have any thoughts on it? Do you care?
No, I mean, I think it would be like, I could not have a judgment on someone doing that, because I've gone to the extreme of like getting surgery. Right. I mean, I think Ozempic, I don't really know much about Ozempic other than it's like, jokes in the zeitgeist or whatever, or like whatever new celebrity is on it. But from what I understand, it mimics the effects of the surgery that I had.
Yeah, it takes away your appetite. It doesn't make your stomach physically smaller, but it has an effect where it makes it so that you're not hungry, and if you eat too much, you get that same feeling you described. Of like,
I mean, I don't think anything coming from like big pharma is going to have an overall good effect on a person. But if I think people just have to do what they have to do to survive. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I completely agree. I think that anything that we look at societally as a miracle is probably the opposite.
Yeah.
Because you've never saw, I mean, maybe a little bit like on Oprah and Dr. Phil in the early aughts and 2010s of people calling weight loss surgery the miracle.
Yeah.
But I don't feel like it was like as ever present as like Ozempic, where it's like
Yeah.
everybody is on Ozempic.
I think Ozempic, I feel like there's less shame about it.
There's
like,
far less shame about it.
Because I think it's also associated. You need access to it, so it's associated with wealth in a way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But also the thing with Ozempic is that like if you get off it, you're gonna gain all the way back.
Yeah.
So I don't really see why the point of it.
Yeah. I know it's working for people that I love very much, and I'm happy for them. They are having trouble having access to it, so they sort of ebb and flow of being on it and not being on it. From what I've seen of people being on it, it just feels like not worth the effort.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it has like a long-term reward that would be like worth it for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't put a judgment behind it. I just wonder, like, is it really worth it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess it is if you're doing it. But yeah, I have a friend who wanted to start doing it, and she did start doing it, but it was like giving her very adverse side effects, and
I know a lot of people that have had a lot of adverse side effects.
Yeah, so I think she stopped it, and so ultimately it wasn't right for her. But
yeah,
no judgment.
Absolutely not. We've literally just had an hours-long conversation about like how we're just trying to do what we can do to like exist and like not want to die, which is so hard.
I think life is so hard, and I just, whatever someone has to do to like survive, and if there's like ever something that it's like, you know, if someone's like, oh, this is the small thing I need for you to do to make my life easier, I'm like, okay, like just tell me, 'cause like life is just so hard.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. That's why I have little pets around me.
Mm-hmm.
You guys make it so that I can't ever leave.
I'm so jealous.
And you're never gonna die, so it's a win-win, right?
How old is this guy?
Like 7.
Oh.
Yeah.
Young buck.
Yeah. He did have a stint in the vet's office like a month ago that made me remember like, oh yeah, you can be expensive. You can be an expensive little guy just 'cause you have a little hurt leg, you know? Little limp.
He's like, I don't know what you're talking
about.
He's
like, no, but I appreciate it. Oh, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on. We've been talking for like an hour 20.
Thanks
We've been
for
really
having me.
Chatting it up. You were awesome. Thank you so much for, you know, telling me about your, you know, just history and going into the weight loss surgery and just the, you know, the after effects of that, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Well, thanks for having me. I love talking about this stuff. I hope I wasn't too boring.
You were not at all.
Okay.
Where can people find you?
I'm on Instagram at Bay Romano, or just type in Chloe Fimiano. Both are difficult, and I should find an easier.
Cool.
I
awesome.
should find a more accessible handle.
Are you still doing that thing where you're trying to like find crime?
Yes, I'm in the early stages.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about that, because maybe there's somebody listening that will want to hit you up.
I just realized I haven't looked at the camera at all. Hey,
it's crooked. It's fine.
I don't really know what I'm doing yet. It's like something that me and a friend want to film, kind of like a Nathan For You,
right?
But not really. I want to solve crimes. I'm deeply influenced by Harriet the Spy.
Okay, love.
So imagine Harriet the Spy, but Bushwick.
Yeah,
I don't know.
totally.
Yeah.
So it's like
silly crimes. Bring me your silly crimes, mysteries.
Yeah, like who's using your shampoo? In the shower? You know, who's leaving poop bags outside of your
Yes, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like, don't bring me your real crimes, because
Yeah.
I've gotten a few emails that are like heavy, and I'm like, you should call the authorities.
Yeah. No, that's a
Not
case for the
me.
FBI.
Yeah.
I can't help you with, people sending you death threats.
Yeah, can't help, but I support. I hope you're well.
Okay.
But yeah, I need silly crimes.
Silly crimes. Okay. I'm going to think if there's anything in my life.
If there's anything, please.
Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good one. Bye.
Bye.